All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of PreMarketInfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, good morning to you, Dennis. It looks like we have a little bit of a continuation of yesterday's rally.
Little follow through here this morning, Joel. Up 3 points. Nothing to get too excited about, but we are seeing a little bit of strength in the financials, so that's nice to see because they really didn't participate much yesterday.
Yeah, we settled with some premium in the S&P futures. We're able to maintain that. On the downside, I'm keeping an eye on 1316, which was a Monday's high, and the close right there in that area. So as long as we stay above 1316, we're good to go north. Going back on the upside, Dennis, not a lot of resistance here. 1324.50 was an intraday high that we had from Thursday. And the 4-day high, 1330.75, coincides just about with our projected high of the day based on the 12 and a quarter low. We got to talk about Apple a little bit here, Dennis.
Wow.
All of a sudden, we're 40 points higher than 530.
Yeah, you know what? Excited. Actually, I did end up writing those puts on Apple, so just for full disclosure, back a few days ago. So that's working out right now. It's up another $8 here, Joel. 569. This stock is off to the races here. I think everybody took their money out of Facebook and put it into Apple here, Joel. I got to give you some props. So in the weekly comments, you were saying that you thought it could bounce off this 530 area, and there's not much until 550. Well, it only took a couple hours to get to 550. Has blown through that. We're now almost 20 points above that level. So we're basically up 40 points here. No news in the last, last one day, Joel. What a move.
Yeah, Dennis, I think whether it's a little bit more significant when you have a stock like Apple that makes two closes in the same area because someone's definitely trying to accumulate a position. They're using the mark. I mean, some of the other stocks that we talk about in file, AT&T, GE, Microsoft, they might have six closes in the same area. But that was significant to me, the two closes within 26 cents of it. I was kind of thinking we might dip under and then come back above it, but it just opened up, basically held the opening range and rallied all day. It's really hard to pick a top where this thing is going, even though I always try and do that. But I'd keep an eye basically on this 575 area, Dennis. The 7-day high was 574.47. And the 8-day high is 575.88. So it looks like you might see some sellers there.
Yeah, it's just I see that level, Joel. It's just the scary thing, when a stock has a 30-point move up like that, it seems like it can cut through levels like a hot knife through butter. So hard to really say where this thing stops. I'll just say caution in the short. If you do decide to short this thing, have a reference point, use a number like that 575, and if it starts trading through that number at 578 or something like that, you gotta always give it a couple bucks Apple because it really moves. But it starts to take out your reference point, by a few dollars. You've got to have an out. So say I'm going to cover. If it goes to 580, I'm going to put on 575. Risk 5 points, goes to 580. I'm going to cover. But I don't even like the short on this stock because I think there's a lot of pent up demand here. Money wants to go and find a home again, and I think Apple might be the place. I don't know, Joe. I think this thing could eventually see $600 again.
Dennis, what did you have for a low on Friday in Apple?
On Friday's low was 522.18. Is that right?
No.
Yeah, because
No,
I
it's
don't remember
not.
it getting down there either.
No,
But I see
I
it. Do you
know.
see that on your chart too?
It has it on my charts, and I saw it off the service providers. I was watching that stock for 90% of the day. I didn't see that as some third market. Unless I'm wrong, maybe some of our listeners can let me know if they saw a 522.18 print.
I don't see it either.
Certainly. But whatever, that's market structure, Dennis. We don't want to get started on that.
I would go on that all night, all day.
Well, as right as I was about Apple yesterday, Dennis, you can definitely beat me up about this Facebook. I mean, I'm falling flat on my face on this one.
Yeah, this thing is just, well, I think what the overall problem, the retail trader just got too much stock. They all, everybody that applied for stock got it, and you don't see that typically in these IPOs. So the thing opened up basically at the highs, has been straight down. They tried to hold at 38 for one day. Obviously that didn't hold. Things at 33.04 right now. Yesterday's low is 33. It's right there in the pre-market. Starts making new lows, just like the JPM trade. When stocks start to make new lows, you do not want to own them. Wait till they have a double bottom. Wait till you have some more reference points. You can make an argument, okay, I'm going to buy it at 33.03, but this thing starts trading 32.90, 32.50. You don't want to be long it because who knows where it goes. The thing's wide open. And the other thing you got to consider here, Joel, the stock hasn't settled yet. So the shorts are going to be unleashed tomorrow on this thing. I'm not saying that they're going to drive it down. Sometimes, maybe there's some speculation, the nervous longs that they know the shorts, it's going to be shortable tomorrow. But it's something to consider, Joel.
You know what, Dennis? I think, and maybe I'm a little warped on my thinking here, but maybe if you get some shorts into this thing, that you might get some more rip-roaring rallies.
You do, and that's the one thing when you have shorts in the market is that you have these rip-roaring rallies. I bet you yesterday's Apple rally was a lot of short squeeze in there too, because there were some people that were bearish and short Apple. So you get the short-term trading herd. Actually, on the other side, they were long forever. They were actually probably caught short, moving down here, and the short-term trading herd is always wrong. So, and that's exactly, why I think you see this rip-roaring rally in Apple, and why you're even seeing follow-through again today as you catch those shorts.
I was going to give you a reference point of 3456 as the number of the day that would not want to touch Facebook going long until it got above and held that level. We're a good $1.50 away there, folks. So if you're trying to scoop it up in the pre-market, keep an eye on the close, of course, the second close of in the history, 3403, and then the 3456. Above that, you got a couple points up to Monday's high and Friday's low. You already got a gap to try and fill in Facebook, Dennis. Going below this 33 number, I know 32 was a number that they had talked about as a high, I believe, of the first projected IPO. But below that, Dennis, you got a couple stops at the whole numbers, and then this thing was supposed to be priced at 25.
I don't know if I see it going that low, but I think this thing starts getting to the low 30s. I think you'll find some interested parties. I mean, this thing still has, 700 or 800 million users or something. If they could ever figure out a better way to monetize it, the stock could be worth a heck of a lot more than it is today. But, I just don't know. Like, I never click on a Facebook ad. I have a Facebook account. I don't know if I've ever clicked on a Facebook ad. So, they've got to figure out a better way to monetize their user base. But, they might do that. So, it's, long term, maybe the outlook's a little bit more rosy than it is here in the short term.
Technically.
But let's move on here. Best Buy, Joel, reported earnings. The stock obviously has just been a disaster for the better part of the whole entire year. Topped out at 26 or 28 bucks back in mid-March. It's down at 18.17 yesterday. It is bouncing, but again, it can hold the gains. Joel find the pre-market high, but the thing was trading up, I think, towards 1970 is where I had seen one trade go by. I'm not sure if it traded above there or not. 18.65, so it's already given back $1 of those gains. I mean, this thing just can't hold on to the gains. It wouldn't surprise me if this thing went negative. What was the pre-market high on that, Joel?
I got 1973, Dennis.
1973, so got a really good lift there in the pre-market. Funny, coinciding with a couple of those highs there. We had 1970 and a 1985 there just about a week and a half ago. So interesting that it topped out in that area. But same time, this thing just can't hold again, Joel.
Yeah, 1973. That was also the year that Secretariat won the Triple Crown, Dennis.
There you go. Get the horses in there, Joel.
1822 was the low here after the euphoria wore off after the numbers. 1973 down to 1822, starting to work its way into yesterday's range. 1753 was the low yesterday. Boy, you got to keep an eye on that. I think anything under 18, you'll start to find some buyers. I'd use the first minor support point at 1829. That was yesterday's high. Dennis, this thing is falling off a cliff over $10. Eventually, it's going to have a retracement of that. Maybe get back up to 22, 23. Who knows, though, Dennis? It's surely the string of lower highs, lower lows, and lower closes has to be broken in the first place. That trend has been continuing, Dennis, basically since May 10th. But I like the store. I go there and buy things. They're really nice to me there. I guess I'm not buying enough.
Not buying enough there, Joel. And I don't know, like it's so hard to say if this is, a fundamental shift in people buying their electronics, online. They're doing, buying them in different places. Um, it's just a scary stock to own from a long-term perspective. I'm not as confident as you that this will see 22 bucks again, but it's hard to say. So I don't think it's going to zero here either. There is people in the stores. It's not a Radio Shack story, I don't think yet, anyway. So, and some people are comparing it to that, where obviously Radio Shack's had all kinds of trouble. But I still think you got to buy your electronics somewhere. So I think Best Buy, long run, maybe it goes, maybe it can hold on here, but short run, got a lot of momentum to the downside. The shorts, the Bears are in control, Joel.
Yep, and just a quick note to our traders: 1.2 million shares is traded in the pre-market here.
Wow.
So we are, someone's definitely making a stand here. What else you got on the radar, Dennis?
AutoZone report earnings this morning. Symbol A, Zebra O. Stock is trading down over 10 bucks, 357 right now. That's taking out the low from 3 days ago. The low from 3 days ago was right there at 360, 266. Looking at the chart, I was going back a little bit farther. If we go back to the weeklies, this 350 area had some action a couple of times. I'm not sure if that's going to hold here, if it continues down or not, but it's at least a big psychological number there, Joel. What do you think on the numbers on this one?
Well, 13,000 scary shares have traded in this. We've hit a pre-market low at 357, so I would keep on that. I was going to call the 360 area excellent support. You had a low there back in February and also some highs previously. That's where it broke out from. I'd use 360 as my swing number. I don't think I'd want to be short if it got back above that number. And Dennis, I'd go with you. I mean, just under 350. You have some lows. You have a double bottom actually in this stock back in early February, 347.20 and 347.27. But Dennis, these stocks are scary. I mean, at the beginning of the year, this was basically a $320 stock.
Yeah.
Got awful close to 400, 399.10. In fact, stepping in some sellers ahead at the 400 level. I mean, it's just scary. I mean, 350 would be just about halfway in the middle. So. $300 stocks are hard to call.
It is hard to call. Ralph Lauren reported earnings here this morning too. Symbol RL. That stock is trading down $5 here, Joel. Yeah, so it's down a little bit. Yesterday's low was 141.85, and the day before was 141.12. Now we're trading 141.11. So we're hanging out all in that area. And if you look at the chart, we had some bottoms at 142. Calls hold 140 to 141. Pretty decent support here. Started to take out 140. I'd get nervous with the long though, Joel.
Boy, some of these retailers have just gotten shellacked here.
Yeah, they really have. I think it got ridiculous, that some of these retailers were really taking off. You had, a lot of the retailers in February, March, April making new, like, all-time highs. I mean, sure, the consumer's stronger than it was, but is it as strong as some of these stocks were looking? I'm not sure. And obviously, people who are, banking on the consumer retailer, continuing to get stronger are getting hurt right now. This whole 140 area, though, we're actually trading 140.20 right now. I think you do have some initial support here, but scary stock, too. These $140 stocks can really move.
Yeah, Dennis, looking at the beginning of the year, this stock started out at the 137 level, 136.92, 137.04 were actually the first two lows of the year in the session. I guess I would keep an eye on that level if, in fact, we can't hold the 140. 138 was the low back on January 5th, so that 137, 138 Dennis level, if I was fortunate enough to be short this stock at 175, 180 and was able to hold it this long, I'd sure enough have some bids out at that level.
Well, one retailer doing okay this morning, Williams-Sonoma, WSM. That stock actually bounced off a key support level yesterday. This $34 is absolutely enormous on this stock. Did bounce off that level yesterday ahead of earnings. It's following through a bit today. There's actually no shares trade here in the pre-market, but I got 35.23 bid, and that's been sitting there all morning. So it does appear that somebody's saying this is going to open higher. The best offer is 36.45. So there's definitely no volume on any of this move because there's been no trades, but it is bid up. There is an offer quite a bit higher, so it looks like it could open in the mid 35s. But if it goes into sell-off mode, keep an eye on that 34 level. If you're a bottom picker, I'm not always a big bottom picking fan, but man, that 34 level's big.
Yeah, 35 as far as the pre-market. You had two highs, 35.04 and 35.21. So if in fact it could hold this 35 level, has a chance to rally. It blew through the 35 handle like it was just standing still 3 days ago. So don't get caught short here. Going up to 36, there's not much resistance to lean on. 36.38 was a 3-day high. 34, I do like it, Dennis, as well. That coincides with the lows back on January 25th. And below that, you have the yearly low at 33.45. But, Dennis, I'll just reiterate, have you ever walked into those stores and even considered buying anything?
It's all too expensive for me, Joel. I got to become a better trader to afford the stuff in that store. That's it. Let's move out of this retail sector. Talk quickly about JP Morgan before we run out of time, because JP Morgan made new lows again yesterday, obviously suspending their stock buyback program. Wall Street Journal reporting that, they had an article, they were just talking about that a bit. Maybe that's positive for the company. They were speculating because they're trying to basically get their stuff together before continuing to buy back stock. But I mean, this stock continues to make new lows. It was down 98 cents yesterday on a day we were up over 20 points on the S&P. It just can't, seem to get anything together. It's 32.79, so it is bouncing a bit here today. You do have some reference points. We go late in the year. 32.57 was the low there from going back to December 28th. So if you're picking bottoms, maybe you can make an argument this 32.50 area. We made a low there yesterday, 32.26. So we did take it a little bit. Holds above this 32. Maybe you could argue for trying to pick a bottom. But if it takes a 32, I wouldn't want to be long it. I mean, we've been preaching this for 4 or 5 days. When stocks make new lows, you don't want to own them.
Looking at, I got a little number. I mean, 31.90 was the low on December 21st, Dennis, and that's held up quite a bit. So that kind of coincides with this 32.26 level. Breaks below 32.26, tests the whole number 32, scares little people out, and then takes off. So if you're keep an eye on, if you're going to try and bottom fish here at at yesterday's low or 32. Don't be real surprised if it trades, 31.85, 31.90 before it gets a pop. Also, Dennis, what happens on these stocks is when you just get such a precipitous sell-off like you've had, you have people that are trying to pick a bottom the whole way, for a scalp or a short-term trade.
Right.
And then it turns into an investment.
Yeah,
And now, so you got, when this thing starts to go back up, and eventually it is, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding.
I mean,
getting above this 34 level is going to be very hard to get over.
Yeah, you can never let a trade turn into an investment. I've seen this, I've been in to the trading rooms for 12 years, and this is exactly how traders get blown out. That, I like it here, and okay, they'll scalp out of it for 20 cents, but they'll hold it 5 points against them. You need to have some type of risk return. I always want my return to be greater than my risk, not less than my risk. So if you get into that situation where you're holding a stock 3-4 points against you, you better be making 3 or 4 points on it, on your winners. And traders typically don't do that, and that's why it really doesn't work out for a lot of traders in the long run. They don't have good risk return management. So you need to get the better risk return management. But
do we have a quick second for the LJ story in Lucent?
Go ahead, Joel. We're gonna go quick. Stories are
one
good.
of our traders bought Lucent. This is back in the
Wasn't it Nortel? It was Nortel, Joel.
Was it Nortel?
Nortel.
Right.
Yeah, we all know how Nortel ended.
Yeah, I'm getting old. I just changed the stories.
Yeah.
But he bought it at 60, and I got hit that day. I think maybe went down to 56, 57. He said, I'm going to hold. I have 100 shares. This thing is going back up. I'm just going to hold it.
Yep.
And I said, that's not a good idea. It's a loser. You shouldn't take home a loser. He said, no. He goes, I'm going to hold to this stock. And I said, well, you're going to hold it to 0. Okay. And every day he would make some money trading, and then that 100 shares of Nortel would be in his P&L. And lo and behold, he watched that thing go from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20. And I don't know if they were either bought out or
Oh,
what.
it went to zero. The stock
It
actually
did go to
did go
zero.
bankrupt. Yes, it did. So I guess you had a pretty good call on that. I do remember that though, Joel. And that's your perfect example. It's a great example of, a day trader letting a trade become an investment and then that investment just beating your account up. And like obviously we're not talking about it. He was a smaller trader, so we're not talking about a ton of stock here. But man, when you let a trade go that far against you, you can get into a whole world of hurt. Don't let, one trade destroy your trading account.
Okay, just quickly finish up, Dennis. Facebook has taken out 33, so that
Ouch.
is not. Whew, that's not good for the Facebook owners. Gets back above 33, you might get a little rally. S&P's topped out 13.20 and a quarter. We're now 4 points off that, so that level should work in to be good resistance. Any closing thoughts, Dennis?
No, just be aware of the 2-day follow through. I'm always been a big fan of these 2-day follow through moves, so it wouldn't surprise me on a stock like Apple, and even though the S&P overall, if we did get a little bit of follow through today.
Okay, have a good day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.